Last week on the Australian Fishing Championships, our rookies led the way. A new AFC record was bagged by Darren Borg, a 1.2 kilo monster, but it was our reigning champ Tim Morgan who eventually claimed the win. This week, the AFC travels north to the oyster capital of the North Coast, magnificent Forster, for the second round of the Australian Fishing Championships.
Hi, I'm Steve Starling and welcome to round 2 of the Australian Fishing Championships from Forster on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. And I'm joined by Adam Reuter. Adam, we couldn't have asked for a better first round.
I'll tell you what, last week's round on the Hawkesbury was an absolute scorcher. We saw V8X Magazine's Darren Dizzy Borg create a new AFC Outdoors record with a 1.2 kilo yellowfin bream. He's doing exceptionally well on his debut.
Dizzy had a blinder, but let's not forget who won the round, because a glance at the leaderboard reveals that Tim the Brim Morgan from Team Humminbird is out on front with a valuable 10 championship points. Berkeley's rookie angler Scott Towner silenced any doubters by taking 8 points at the Hawkesbury to secure joint second spot with Darren Borg from Team V8X Magazine, who, with 2 extra points for big fish, is also on 8 points.
I'm joined by Scott Towner and Darren Borg. Scotty, first round of AFC scored you a second. That leaves you only 2 points behind last year's champion Tim the Brim Morgan from Team Humminbird.
Yeah, it was a fantastic result, Adam. To be only 2 points behind Tim Morgan with 2 rounds to go, I think Team Humminbird better watch out for Team Berkeley because I'm on a mission.
Now, Darren, that last fish in the dying minutes of your round, 1.2 kilos, mate, you must have been happy with that.
Oh, I was very happy when I hooked it, I can tell you that much, Adam. I knew I was in with a chance. It was unfortunate it wasn't big enough to get me across the line, but it was big enough to get me back up into second place and keep up with the boys. So I've now got a chance over the next 2 rounds to catch them and beat them.
Well, good luck, boys, and now it's over to Steve to take a closer look at this diverse arena.
Our second bream arena for Series 4 of the Australian Fishing Championships is Forster on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. The twin towns of Forster and Tuncurry lie either side of the entrance to an extensive estuary system and are linked by a long bridge. This productive tidal system is fed by several rivers that flow into a large tidal lake network dotted with islands and sandbars. Forster is a famous oyster growing region, and man-made oyster leases, racks, rails, floating cages and splashboards dominate the lower estuary. These structures provide a happy hunting ground for yellowfin bream and for the anglers who chase them. Further upstream, oyster leases give way to natural lake margins, tidal flats and mangroves, which are also home to plenty of fish. Then, of course, there's the bridge itself, where Timmy Morgan finished so strongly in the last series. However, my hunch is it's those oyster leases where we're likely to see most of the fishing action in this round. And it'll be white-knuckled, knock-down, drag-out stuff. In this environment, the odds are stacked in favour of those big blue-nosed bream.
Oh!
The water's really clear, especially down here around the mouth, and we've got a high tide about 9 o'clock, so we'll be able to see a lot of big bream. Whether we can catch them is another story. But then I'm going to head a bit further upstream where the water's a bit murkier, and hopefully then I can trick some of the bigger fish into biting my lures.
Today I hope it is sunny, not too overcast. I think when it's sunny they actually get up under the racks a little bit more, and they're a little bit easier to catch when they're under in the shade.
Once I've got my 5 fish today, I'll probably throw around a bit bigger hard body around some of the floating oyster racks. On a stiff rod and heavy line, probably 16-pound braid and 14 to 17-pound leader. It's what you need to get these big bream out of the racks here.
Now, yesterday's pre-fish didn't go to plan. The fish were really shut down. We found it very hard to get a good bite going, and when we did find fish, they were just ignoring the lures altogether. Usually you have a good pre-fish and a bad tournament. So a bad pre-fish sometimes means a good tournament. So I'm a little bit high. I think we're going to have a good day out there.
You could cut the tension with a knife here at Forster as the clock counts down to the start of round 2 of the Australian Fishing Championships. So let's cross now to Matthew Campbell as he calls the action.
Thanks very much, Stephen. What a fantastic day it will be on Forster today. The tension's building. These pros want to get off to a good start. The Ford Ranger clock counting down. And we're off.
Here we go. This is going to be great. Going to hit the washboards early, then work up the system to try and upgrade that bag.
Scotty Towner from Team Berkeley with his early plan. But let's recap today's rules. All our pros will fish for 7 hours on the water using lures and flies only. Each angler will weigh only their 5 heaviest legal fish, 10 points for first, right through to 3 for last. All our anglers wearing their Club Marine PFDs, having to slow down here to go through this bridge, keeping to all the rules and all the safety precautions, but they just can't wait to get out and bag some fish. Here's the champ, Tim Morgan from Team Humminbird, taking off, and he's heading left. An overtaking manoeuvre there from Tim Morgan. He's keen to get to his first location before anyone else. That's what we expect from the champ. Darren Borg heading upstream towards the racks, and Kris Hickson from Team Mercury with the tide running in, he's heading for some dirtier water. As our pros head to their first locations, let's take a moment to check the weather forecast. It should be a mostly fine day with a top of 22 degrees. High tide at 9:25 this morning, gusty conditions up to 20 knots, increasing in the afternoon to 40, so it could get quite choppy as the day progresses.
Now that we're here at our first spot this morning and all the other boys are gone, I'm going to show you a little secret of what I've been doing. I got up real early this morning because I was a bit nervous, so I made up a little list of where I'm going to fish and what I'm going to do today. Hopefully this list will get me in front of Timmy today so he doesn't get away before we get to the Gold Coast. Here we go. I do that every time.
Darren Borg with his first snag for the day. Now here is Timmy Morgan. He's arrived at his first location. He won round 1, he's the championship leader. As usual, he's the one to beat.
I'm going to cast as close as I can to those washboards, and a lot of the time the brim will hit it as it drops down past. They'll be sitting in the eddies behind those pylons. So let's hope we can get one along this run here.
A terrific insight on how to fish these oyster leases. Forster really is a great place to find big brim, one of the most popular fishing locations on the northeast coast. And as you can see, the tide is still running in fairly quickly.
The water's really clear at the moment, so it's making the fishing tough, but hopefully those fish are hungry and they won't care too much. A lot of the time on the fronts of leases, on washboards and stuff, you'll get the water pressure pushing against it and the fish just nose in that pressure, waiting for something to come along and eat. This washboard will probably work better in the afternoon. The sun behind us at the moment, it's fairly bright on this side. The other washboard would have been a better one, but unfortunately Dizzy went to that one.
And that's how competitive today at Forster will be. As you can see, the racks are close, the pros are even closer. The race is on.
All the other boys are all fishing within a few hundred metres of me. I'm only going to fish about another 20 or 30 metres if I don't get a touch. I'm going to move to my second spot. Yeah, making an early move this morning is all part of the game plan. Try and get in front of everyone else, fish a couple of spots before everyone else gets to them, because I think most of us are all going to be fishing the same grounds. We all seem to find fish in the same place yesterday, so I think it's important to try and get there first.
Timmy's throwing small soft plastics up against the washboards. The fish use these as cover during the high tide moments in the early morning. A bit of an ambush spot for them. They hide in the shade, and when their prey comes past, pow, they jump out and grab them.
It sounds simple, Adam. Let's see what Tim can do. It's just watching the line.
Yep.
Oh. Damn. That's a good little hit, that one, actually.
Not what we're used to seeing from Tim Morgan, not the start he was looking for here at Forster. Now here's a move. Team V8X magazine heading upstream. Darren Borg not happy with his first location. Scotty Towner staying right where he is at the moment. Now here's Team Mercury's Kris Hickson. He didn't waste any time near the bottom of the river. He's headed way upstream. He had a very disappointing day at Hawkesbury. He needs some fish. He needs some points today to keep Team Mercury on the road to Lake Awunga.
Oh, oh, he's a bit bigger than I thought to start with. Stay on, buddy. Oh, he's a good fish to start with. Yeah, that's what I want. Get out of that weed, soldier. No, he's not as big as I thought he was. He was just fighting really well. But he should be a keeper still. Oh, we'll have a look at him. Look at that. Nice little brim to start the day. First one out in the spot that I thought.
That's a better start for Kris Hickson today. He'll be hoping that form can continue. Stay with us on AFC Outdoors as the frustration sets in.
Oh!
Welcome back to the Australian Fishing Championships here at Forster. Team Humminbird's Tim Morgan on the move, still searching for his first keeper. He could be waiting for the tide to change. Over to Team V8X Magazine's Darren Borg, also searching for his first keeper, using extremely light line, a necessity in these clear waters.
These corners of these racks is usually where you do catch fish too. Oh, this one's got me under the rack. No, he's back out again. He's a good fish too.
Racks on both sides of the boat, as you can see. There's not much room for error here for Dizzy. He has to use all of his skill here to get this fish into the boat.
It's a good fish too. We're not going to muck around with this one, straight in the boat. This is what we're after.
Not exactly textbook. The lure could have popped out of the fish's mouth, but he's on the board for his first keeper. Over to Team Berkeley's Scott Towner, searching for his first. He's moved upstream.
The reason that these fish can be so hard to hook sometimes is because...
There's one.
Oh! No! Oh, that was a big fish. Oh, that was a good fish.
Frustration for Scott, but that's the danger in fishing these razor-sharp racks.
The reason these fish are so hard to hook is because they chew on oysters, all types of shells, crustaceans. They crunch them up in their mouths and eat them. That's why they've got such tough mouths. As you can see, I just hooked that fish then. He was just a little bit too good for me. He was a big fish, saw the flash, he got me up under the rack. I pulled as hard as I could, but oysters are no match for fishing line.
It's tough, and we could see a fair bit of that today. Now, over to Steve Starling.
Darren, one fish in the well. Are you feeling better now?
Oh, much better, Steve. I dropped one on the edge of that rack. I came down, and a couple of casts later, I got it 133 to the fork. And there's lots of fish in here, but by the time I see them, they're right against the boat, and I'm having a bit of trouble getting a nice long cast in. I've had to stick to 6 pound leader in here to get them following, because if I go any heavier in this clear water, I don't think they're going to take it.
Stick with it, mate. It's a gamble, but it's paying off for you.
Let's hope it does. Now back over to Tim Morgan. He's already got one in the live well. He's on for his second. Almost 2 hours into the competition. Pretty unusual for the champ to only have one in the well. The wind, as you can see, starting to gust up a bit. He really knows how important this second keeper will be. It's one thing to hook the fish. The second part of the equation is to land it in the net.
Yes. Woohoo! On a real tough day. It's not a huge fish, but it's a nice fish. I thought that I saw him come right out of the lease there, just stopped it on the edge. That's 2 in the well, so let's go get another one.
Catching that fish would have been much harder without the help of his bow-mounted Minn Kota electric motor. For slow manoeuvring, it's much easier to drag the boat around from the bow than to try and push it around from the stern. And driving them is easy. You rock the pedal forward and backwards to turn the motor left or right. With the ball of your foot, you press the power switch to spin the propeller. The speed is controlled with a variable rolling switch on the side of the pedal. You can even change the speed with your foot too. Minn Kotas have a maximiser, which delivers up to 5 times more running time from a battery charge, and you will really appreciate that on windy days. These Minn Kota Maxims also feature a breakaway mounting that allows the shaft to fold away when you hit immovable structure, and a neat little illuminated directional indicator to show you which way the motor is pointed. The rock-solid Maxim mount is the strongest mounting system available, and when it's stowed, it won't flex, budge or vibrate. All our AFC boats are fitted with Minn Kota onboard battery chargers to get the batteries back to 100% charge between tournament days. Plug them in and forget. For more information, see your local Minn Kota stockist or visit minnkota.com.au. Let's manoeuvre over to Kris Hickson from Team Mercury. One in the live well so far, on some broken racks right here.
I fished this last year and got busted up a couple of times, and I probably haven't fished it for about 6 months. It's a good low tide spot. It's not quite low tide, but I'm going to try it anyway. Yep, got him. Oh, round 2. Yeah, he's over. Now what am I doing? Oh, check that out. That was a tangle and a half, but I got him. Nicely hooked. Oh, that was a bit of a wild ride.
Wild ride indeed. Let's take a look at the replay of his second keeper. As you can see, he just hoiks it over that rack and into the boat for number 2.
I'm joined by Scott Towner from Team Berkeley. Now, Scotty, you seem to be throwing the proverbial tackle box at them today.
Yeah, Adam, I've tried everything. I've got a few favourites that I always use, just not turning up the fish. I'm getting a few takes on the backs of the bigger plastics. So then I downsized to the 2-inch plastics. Still getting those takes, but just not hooking up. Setting the hook and pulling out within about 3 seconds.
Really? Well, you seem to be favouring the clear water. What's wrong with the dirty water? You're not happy with that?
No, generally I do fish the dirty water, Adam, but I saw a lot of big fish yesterday in the pre-fish in the clean water, so I decided to try and have a crack at those, and then I would maybe, you know, put a couple of big ones in the well early and then move off and hopefully get my limit later.
Well, good luck to you, mate. Have a good rest of the tournament.
Thanks, Adam.
All our anglers experimenting with different techniques today, just trying to find the right combination of line and lure. Back over to Dizzy Borg. His combination is a light line and a little bit of finesse. Totally different to what we've seen from Kris Hickson.
Another bite. They just won't hang on to it. It's grabbing the tail of the lure every time. I don't know how many times I'm just going to have a go at it. Eventually he'll get the hook, I suppose. Here we go again this time. Yeah, we got him this time. 3 goes at it, we finally got him. Might be a half decent fish. Just got to get him to the boat and get him in the net. Only use a very, very light line here because they've shut the bite shut down. They're not biting real well. Not for me anyhow. I don't know how the other boys are going. But I'm just going to fish very light, take my time, and hopefully at the end of the day I'll have my 5 fish. That's number 2. Whoa, and he's only just come in the boat. He's not a bad fish either. Very happy with that. It's a good looking fish. 2-inch gulp shrimp, done it again. One of my favourite lures at the moment.
Persistence pays off for Dizzy. Will it pay off for our other pros? We'll find out after the break.
Got him, yes.
Kris Hickson making a move, while Tim the Brim Morgan methodically works a drop-off here from some weedy shallows into deeper water with some old broken oyster leases. The boys are all doing it tough. They're all sweating on that tide change.
And let's hope there's a real change of luck for all our pros and the action hots up here at Forster. Back over to Team V8X Magazine's Darren Dizzy Borg, and it looks like he's changing his setup again.
I'm putting on a 1/16th jig head now. I've been using a 1/20th. The wind's making it very hard to fish so light, so I've gone a little bit heavier just to try and help me out a little bit. I'm tying it straight through on 2-pound line. No leader, no fire line, straight through 2-pound line, fluorocarbon line. And you've got to just keep running those fingers up that first part of the line just to make sure there's no cuts or scratches on it, because every time you get a good fish and you hit him, that's when it's going to break. And we're going back to my favourite, 2-inch shrimp. Since we've changed over to these this morning, we've started catching some good fish again.
Terrific tackle talk from Dizzy Borg. Now over to Team Berkeley's Scott Towner. Here's a man that's really doing it tough. Nothing in the live well after almost 3.5 hours. The rookie really needs a change of luck. Over the top of the oyster leases, he's on. At last, some joy for Scott Towner. He's lost a few today. Let's hope he doesn't lose this one. Into the net it goes. He's on the board.
Finally. I think that guy will definitely go legal. I think so anyway. One in the well, at least the confidence is sort of coming up now.
A real sense of relief for Scott Towner and Team Berkeley. Back to Dizzy Borg. Remember, he's fishing with 2-pound line with no leader and looking for number 3.
It's a very frustrating bite. Ooh, we're getting a tap then. I don't know whether it was a brim or not. There's certainly something having a bit of a go at the lure then. If he's keen like the last one, he'll come back. There he is. He came back for it all right, whatever it is. It's got some weight to it, I know that much. Doing a lot of head shaking. Whatever it is a big fish. Feels a bit like a big flathead actually, but you never know. Some of these big brim do the same thing sometimes. Very big fish. Can't believe this. This is a good brim.
This is unbelievable. To catch a fish like this in this area here. Oh, look at that. Look at that for a brim. 2 pound line on the poles around the racks, and I managed to get him out. I tell you what, if we could just get our next 2 fish, we're in with a big chance today because there's not going to be a lot of those ones caught.
What a wonderful exhibition of angling by Dizzy Borg, proving once again these guys are the best of the best. Back to Kris Hickson from Team Mercury. 2 in the well, looking for number 3 to equal Dizzy Borg.
Ah, it's good. These floaters just up here, they... Got him, yes. That's the ticket. That's the sort of fish we've been looking for. Oh, nice, solid brim. Probably, you'd go close to 30 centimetres, that one, probably about 650 grams.
What a contrast in fishing styles between Borg and Hickson. Starlo caught up with Kris yesterday for a chat after his pre-fish.
Kris, last series was your first with the AFC and you were very much the rookie and the young kid on the block. You're a year older now, but you're still the youngest player out there. Does that weigh on your mind at all?
No, I've been doing it for long enough now to not let it get to me, Steve. You get in with all the blokes here and just have a good time. I don't think my age difference makes that much of an impression on them. I still get out there and do my best and they appreciate that. And last season I got the win at the Clarence, which is really boosting for my confidence.
Final round this year is up at Lake Awonga in Queensland and we'll be targeting barra. Do you have much experience on barramundi?
I've never fished for barra in my life, Steve. I wouldn't know where to start.
Are you looking forward to it?
I can't wait. Hopefully I'll just catch one. I couldn't care how I went in the comp, although I'd like to win it. I just want to catch a big barra.
Kris, you must have been disappointed with your performance in round 1 on the Hawkesbury, finishing in last spot and only picking up 3 points.
Yeah, it was a disappointing result for myself and Team Mercury. I would have liked to have done better, especially for the first one back for the year. I just didn't have it all weekend pretty much. The boat traffic and just the weather didn't play into my hands. I had a terrible pre-fish down there and a terrible fishing day.
Well, Forster this round, it's nearly home water for you. You've had a pretty good record here. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, Forster's a bit of a funny one for me, Steve. I only live 40 minutes away, but I don't fish it very often, so I don't know the waterway as well as I should. I've had a couple of really good results here, like second in the grand final in 2004, and my biggest ever brim's coming from out here. Hopefully tomorrow I can go out there and just do what I normally do and play it safe and get a good limit.
Well, good luck, mate. Go out and smack a few.
Cheers.
Behind me, Scotty Towner from Team Berkeley, still fishing racks, but this time he's come into the dirty water of the Kalungaluk River. Now he's casting upstream, or not upstream, but upwind at least, to keep his boat away from scrubbing on the racks. Casting his lure ahead very accurately, of course, because you don't want to hang your lure up on every single rack, but the brim are hiding underneath the racks in the shade. That's where he's got to catch them from. And I tell you what, he's having a little trouble doing that just at the moment.
Oh! Oh! It's just not my day. That was a huge fish.
The bad luck continues for Scott Towner. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll see some big fish and some even bigger bust-offs. Oh! Welcome back to the Australian Fishing Championships. It's been a very tough day here at Forster. We're with Team Mercury's Kris Hickson. Now he's got 3 in the live well. He's our equal leader today. It's been a much better performance than his disappointing round 1 at Hawkesbury. He's casting lightly weighted soft plastics over the racks. It's risky, but we've seen him be successful so far today. On for number 4.
Oh. Whew. Take that. Welcome aboard, old mate. I think you'll be a keeper. Oh, could be number 4, that one. Hit him hard and keep winding.
Let's take another look. We had the catch clock on him. Just 4.7 seconds for him to land that fish in the boat. No mucking around for the power man. Kris Hickson in front with 4 in the well.
Oyster leases are prime habitat for brim because they provide both food and shelter for the fish. But not all leases are equally productive. Look for those that are licked by a little bit of tidal flow and concentrate on the upcurrent edges where that water movement first makes contact with the structure. Then get your lure, be it a soft plastic or a hard body, as tight into cover as you can. And most important of all, make sure your drag is set really tight, because this is white-knuckled fishing. I love catching bream in the leases.
No one loves catching bream more than Tim Morgan from Team Humminbird. 4 hours into the competition, just 2 in the live well. We'd normally expect more from the champ. The tide's running out, the water's starting to dirty up. He's still around the racks. Is he on for number 3? He is.
Ah! That was a good fish, that one. It's probably about 800 grams. Had him up there shaking on the surface. On a day like this, losing a fish like that can really hurt you.
Wise words indeed, and perhaps that mistake could come back to haunt Tim later in the day. Back over to Dizzy Borg, hasn't moved, still searching for number 4.
One on there now. Here, we got him. We got him. He's not a real... Oh, it's a big pike. Took a big jump out of the water. And again. Bit of an aerial acrobat, this one. There's a whole heap of pike in there with him. In he comes. I tell you, if you ever want to have a lot of fun catching fish and you can get onto a patch of these pike, they are absolutely great fun, especially if you've got little kids.
Pike not on the menu today, it's all about bream. Back to Scott Towner from Team Berkeley. Really needs to get something happening here. Only 1 in the live well. Now look at these full oyster trays. Plenty of shade underneath them, so there should be plenty of big bream for Scotty. Yep, he's on. He's on for his second. Could things turn around for Team Berkeley here? In goes the net, out comes the fish. Number 2.
It's been a long time coming. It has been a long time coming. That one there is number 2. That is really tough work. You don't know how grateful I am for that fish right now. I'm going to keep on going. With all the lost fish, this really makes me feel a hell of a lot better.
I'm here with Tim Morgan from Team Humminbird. Timmy, rumour has it, mate, that you've dropped the ball.
Yeah, mate, I've only got 2 in the well. I just lost a good fish about 800 grams right at the front of the boat about 10 minutes ago. And I know on a tough day like this, that's really going to hurt me.
The tide's dropping, the racks look good to me, mate. Is it suitable? Do you like the clarity? What's going on?
Oh, the conditions are ideal at the moment. I'm just lacking the ability to put bream in my live well.
No worries, mate. Good luck for the rest of the day.
Thanks a lot, mate.
The champ, down on form, but don't count him out just yet. We've seen him time and time again come with a rush in the final hour. We return to Scott Towner from Team Berkeley. He hasn't moved. He caught his second keeper here, right over these broken racks.
Because of the wind, we're moving so quick, it's so difficult to work them. I just dropped another fish. Oh, gosh.
How's this for desperation from Scott Towner? He's down on his hands and knees, praying that this is keeper number 3. He's praying that that fish is still on the end of his line. The wind making it very tough indeed. He's using his net as an anchor.
I do not know where this fish is, if it's got off or not, but I think he might have busted me off by now.
Scotty's prayers have not been answered. No joy for him once again. Back over to Kris Hickson. 4 in the live well. Steve Starling is right on the spot.
He's on. Oh, mate. They're supposed to stop in the boat, I think. I don't think that one's going to go legal, but how many have you got in the tank?
He's a bit undersized, this one. He's only a little fella.
How many have you got now?
I've got 4.
4.
Yeah, I need 1 more, and then I can start upgrading some of those smaller ones I got in there. 4's better than nothing, but.
You're fishing a shrimp over the top of the racks, are you?
Yeah, gulp shrimp on about a 16th ounce head, just flicking over the top of one set of racks, right into the next ones, or I'm throwing over and bringing it and dropping right down the shade. Then I'm trying to just wait for those little ticks on the line or a bite, and as soon as I feel that, I hit it as hard as I can and hope that I make it back over.
We'll watch for a while.
Cheers.
Starlo can keep an eye on Kris Hickson. We'll move over to Dizzy Borg. He's moved downstream. The tide and the wind pretty strong, tough conditions, and like Kris, he needs 1 more for a full bag.
That was a bite then. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, it's a pretty good fish, I think. Got to get him out and away from all that rocks and sticks and logs and oysters in there. He's coming out all right though. He's got to keep coming. We don't want him to stop. We want him to keep coming right away from everything. He's a bream, and I think he'll be legal. He'll be the one we're looking for. He'll be close to it anyhow. We'll soon find out.
So Dizzy Borg to start upgrading. We'll take a break. When we return, Tempers Fray at Forster.
Oh, that was the one I needed too.
Oh, this is a big fish, a huge fish.
Welcome back. Our AFC anglers need a vehicle tough and powerful enough to tow their most valuable asset, their boats. And the new Ford Ranger delivers with power to spare. Every model has a payload of at least 1 tonne, and the 3-litre models have a maximum brake towing capacity of a massive 2,500 kilograms. Whether it's open road driving or off the beaten track, the anglers know they can load up their Ford Rangers and depend on this incredible towing capability. Our angler's boat and trailer package has a lot of weight, and the Ford Ranger makes extremely light work of towing this precious load. For a closer look at these or the other new features of the built tough Ford Ranger, visit your local Ford dealer to arrange a test drive and experience the legendary tough Ford Ranger for yourself.
Dizzy, 5 in the well with an hour or 2 to go. You'd have to be happy with that.
I'm very happy, Steve. It's been a real tough day today. I've had to go to 2 pounds straight through nearly all day long. I spent a little bit of time in the racks. I went up to 6 and 8 pound leader, and I just can't get the fish to take the lure. So I'm back down to 2 pound, and I'm fishing these open areas again.
So it's very much a finesse bite. You're having to finesse every fish.
Very much so. Sometimes they're having 3 and 4 goes at the lure, and they're playing with it for sometimes 30 seconds before I'm able to set the hook, and I've just got to be patient and just wait for them to take it.
Well, we'll leave you to it. You need a couple of big kickers to really get you over the line, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. If I could get 2 good upgrades before the end of the day, I think I'd be in with a good chance.
OK, hang in there, mate.
No worries. Thanks, Steve.
It's all about upgrades at this time of the day. The clock now becoming an issue for our pros. Back to Scott Towner. He's not thinking about upgrading. He's still looking for number 3 to put in his live well. The windy conditions playing havoc with his casting. As you can see, a little bit of a snag and he just flicks it off. Desperate to get something going late in the day. He's on for number 3.
Oh, this is a big fish, a huge fish. Oh, yes. Yes. That is the one that I needed. That is the one that I needed. That would be the equivalent to probably 2 other legal fish, so I'm really, really pleased about that fish.
An absolute belter in the running for the angle big fish of the day. Back over to Dizzy Borg, looking for his first upgrade.
Just have a couple more casts with the 2 pound line, just in case there's a good one along here that's not real keen. And then I'll change up to 6 or 8 pound leader and we'll start going to the washboards and 12 pound leader in the ends of the racks and see if we can find some big fish. But what we want now is to find some nice upgrades. There's one straight away. Oh, he looks like a big fish too. He looks like he'll be the upgrade. Straight away, next cast.
Dizzy showing that he is the master with this light line.
We can't rush it. This is the critical part with this light line. If you're unsure, you just back the drag off a little bit more. Just take your time. Always just try to lift the rod when you can and just wind the rod back down to get your line back on. And in he goes. Oh, yes. Straight away, a nice big upgrade. That's 5 nice fish we're going to have.
He's the man to catch this afternoon. Dizzy Borg upgrading and in prime position to take the maximum 10 points. But he's got some competition. Here's Kris Hickson from Team Mercury. The elusive 5th keeper. Is it coming? Is it here? He needs it to catch Dizzy. He's on.
Got him.
Let's put him on the catch clock.
Yes. Number 5. That's the way to do it. Oh, didn't think he had that to start with, but then my line started taking off under the racket. Knew he was on. He's not a bad fish. Probably about as big as the biggest one I got in there. Maybe a little bit smaller. nice and chunky, but so.
A full bag now for Team Mercury into the upgrade zone and putting out a challenge to Team V8X Magazine. Tim the Brim Morgan from Team Humminbird. Normally in this situation with just over an hour to go, you'll see the champ charge.
Well, there's a little hit and, yep.
He's on for number 4. We've seen him do this so many times, surging in the last hour of the competition. He's given the racks away. He's out on the flats, casting his lure with a slow retrieve. And it looks as though it's going to pay dividends. Don't be surprised if this is the start of a run, and any minute now, he could have a full bag.
Ooh. Nice little brim.
4 down, 1 to go for Tim Morgan. The SX40 hard-bodied lure doing the trick. Back over to the power man. Team Mercury's Kris Hickson. 5 in the live well, in the upgrade zone, and we're now inside the last hour.
Yep. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh, that's a big fish. Oh, oh, that was the one I needed too. 16-pound braid, and it's still got cut on the oysters.
Frustration for Kris Hickson, but we've seen it all day. You fish these oyster racks, sometimes you pay the penalty. Back over to Tim Morgan. He's on for his 5th.
It's a brim boat. Don't know if he'll be big enough. I think he might be.
And it might make a difference on the points table at the end of the day. That's 2 in quick succession for Team Humminbird's Tim Morgan.
Oh, swam out and then in again. So once again, I don't know, I'm going to have to put him on the ruler. Not a big fish, but nice to get him in the boat.
And that makes it number 5 in the live well.
Forster's rack brim have well and truly beaten me today. Forster does have a reputation of being a hard fishery to actually pull the fish out. It's not that hard to get them to bite, but pulling them out's the hard thing. So yeah, it definitely has lived up to its reputation, the old Forster.
Well, I reckon I've got probably 3.2 kilos. I like to hope it's 3.2, but I think it's probably closer to 3.
So as our pros head back for the weigh-in, let's take a look at the fish caught leaderboard. Kris Hickson caught the most fish with 13 for his full bag. Darren Borg, the only one of our pros to upgrade, with 9 fish caught, 5 were keepers. Tim Morgan with a late surge landing 8 for his 5. Scott Towner, only 6 fish landed for the day, 3 of which were keepers. Stay with us when we return the all-important weigh-in from Forster. Welcome back to AFC Outdoors. We're with Team Mercury's Kris Hickson as he loads his fish in preparation for today's weigh-in. So far, 2 of our pros have already weighed in here at Forster, and our current leader with a total weight of 2.24 kilos is Team Humminbird's Tim Morgan. Behind him, Scott Towner from Team Berkeley only landed 3 fish, not the day he was looking for at 1.93 kilos. But now, here's Team Mercury.
Here he is, young Kris Hickson, the local angler, and he had a fairly poor round down on the Hawkesbury, but he's done well today. There's 5 fish in there. I'll get them across to Adam to get the water out. Were you happy enough with your day?
Yeah, considering the circumstances, I had a pretty tough morning. I got 1 fish early, but then struggled most of the day. And a lot of the spots I went to today had a lot of people in them as well. I'd go to a spot and then I'd have to turn around and figure out somewhere else because there'd be someone there. So for the day I was surprised to get 5 fish.
Now, when you say other people, other competitors or just social anglers?
Just social anglers, a lot of brim fishermen and just a lot of bait fishermen as well, which is good to see out there, but not on a tournament day.
Okay, let's get your 5 fish on the scales and see what your bag weighs, and it comes in at 2.28 kilos. Give him a round of applause. That's a lovely bag of 5 brim.
A great result for Kris, much better than round 1, but will it be enough to beat Darren Dizzy Borg?
And last, but by no means least, Darren Dizzy Borg comes in with a beautiful bag of fish, and I just know that local boy Kris Hickson will be shaking in his boots over there when he looks at this bag. I think his 2.28 kilos might be in trouble, but we'll find out. Now, I watched you fish out there today, Dizzy, and you wouldn't take no for an answer from those fish. If one thing didn't work, you tried something else.
Yeah, today was a tough day. It was a really hard bite. It was the same as the pre-fish yesterday. The fish just wouldn't take the lure properly. So I decided pretty early in the piece that once I was struggling to catch the fish, I dropped down the 2-pound line straight through and I stuck with it all day long.
And I had some close calls, but I didn't lose any fish all day, and I managed to land all those good ones.
Fishing with that 2 pound line, you know, for people who haven't experienced it, it's like a human hair. It breaks so easily, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had quite a few where I'd strike to set the hook today, and it'd just pop on me. So I don't know whether it was a snag or whether they were fish or anything, but it just broke straight away.
And if they get away, you always tell yourself it was a flathead or a tail,
Yeah.
don't you? Not one of these lovely brim.
That's
okay, 5 fish. Did you do any upgrades out there?
I did one upgrade, yes. It was a good fish too. It's 33 to the fork, so I was quite happy with it.
Well, it's a lovely bag. They're a good calibre of fish. Nothing in there to beat big brim, but we'll get them on there. And the mark is 2.98 kilos. We have a winner.
What a performance by Darren Borg. In only his second appearance, he secures his first win in the AFC. The Angle Big Fish went to Scott Towner, his third and final legal fish, coming in at exactly 1 kilogram. So as we look at the point scoring for round 2, we see that Darren Borg has earned the maximum 10 points for that win. Kris Hickson pipped Tim Morgan for second place with only 40 grams separating the two. Scott Towner earned 5 points, picking up a bonus 2 for the Angle Big Fish, but the day belonged to Dizzy.
It means a lot to me to get the win today, but I think it means more for the team. It now puts us out in front. We've got a chance going into the Gold Coast round to finish on top, and then I can hand over to Moddy and he can take it on the bass.
A look at the championship leaderboard now, and Darren Borg's win has propelled Team V8X Magazine into the lead with 18 championship points. Despite having a frustrating day, Team Humminbird's Tim Morgan still picked up 6 for third place, giving them a total of 16. Team Berkeley is in third place on 13, while Team Mercury sits at the bottom with 11.
Well, Adam, what a great win for Darren Dizzy Borg here at Forster, and it elevates his Team V8X Magazine into the overall lead in this series.
And what an unlucky round it was for Team Berkeley's Scotty Towner. So many dropped fish, and how were some of those bust-offs under the racks?
No!
Not a great day for Scott, but at least he managed to win back some pride by taking out Big Brim. And of course, he'll be back in the running along with our other Brim pros as we travel north to Queensland's Gold Coast for our final Brim event, round 3 of the Australian Fishing Championships. Meanwhile, you can find out all about the results and latest news from the series by visiting fishnet.com.au and following the AFC Outdoors links. We'll catch you next time, and until then, tight lines.
So, with the second of 7 rounds completed, our journey to Queensland's Bass to Barra Trail and our final event at Lake Awunga has well and truly begun. The pros will compete as individuals until that final round, but at Awunga, all the rules change. The anglers will fish side by side as team against team. All 8 anglers on the water at the same time, fighting for double points in the very first AFC Outdoors Barramundi Challenge. But there are 5 rounds and plenty of rod-bending excitement to come before then. Join us next time for all the hottest angling action right here on the Australian Fishing Championships.